My name's Tony Hughes and I'm your MC for tonight. I was actually Natasha's boss about 10 years ago when I received a phone call into the office from her to say that she wasn't coming into work. And the reason she wasn't coming into work is her husband had sadly committed suicide. It was an incredibly awkward time for us that loved and cared for her in a work environment. And when she called me a few months ago to tell me she was publishing a book and asked me if I'd MC, I was really delighted to do so. I don't know whether you know this, but Wednesday this week, the 30th of March, was actually World Bipolar Day. And the statistics for mental illness and bipolar in our society are just staggering. 1 in 2 people, almost half of the population of Australia, at some stage in their lifetime will suffer from some form of mental illness. And in any given year, this year, 1 in 5 people will suffer from some form of mental illness. When you look around this crowd that's gathered tonight, I think that 1 in 5 of us this year will suffer from something like that. It's certainly a very important topic. I don't know whether you know this, but every year in the world there's almost 1 million English language books that are published in the world, and less than 3% of them sell more than 500 copies. It's almost impossible to make money out of a book, and certainly most authors don't write because they want to make money. They write because they've got something that they want to share, and I can't imagine a more important story that needs to get out there than Natasha's story, because when someone does commit suicide, it affects a whole raft of people around them. The ripple effect is certainly huge. You know, all of us are born into a family, and we don't get to choose our family of origin. It really is a lottery. And we hope for good genes, we hope to have loving parents, we hope to inherit mental health. Some of us hope to be born into a family of wealth. And if we're not born into those circumstances when we marry, we certainly hope that we're going to marry up, that we're going to marry into a good, healthy environment. But I think all of us would know and understand that the baggage that all of us carry is not always obvious. And often it's not until people have been married for years that issues come out, whether it's having children, it's talking about your religious beliefs and your political beliefs. The two very courageous women that are going to speak to us tonight are both married into mental illness. So I'll introduce the speakers for me a little bit later. From my own background, my father had bipolar. Back then it was called manic depression, and it was masked by alcoholism. My sister is bipolar, has tried to take her life 5 times in her life. My grandmother many years ago, she passed away about 10 years ago, but when she gave birth to my father, she suffered from severe post-natal depression. And back in that day, she was taken to Brogden Hall, it's currently Roselle, called Callum Park, given electric shock treatment that pushed her over the edge into schizophrenia. And my father was told that his mother died giving childbirth, and he didn't realise that his mother was still alive until he himself was 60 years of age. So one of the things that's wonderful, I know this is a sad story, but one of the things that's wonderful is that we live in a more enlightened age today. Certainly someone getting pregnant outside of marriage, or someone who has mental illness, is no longer seen as a taboo. It's something that can be talked about, and mental illness is not regarded so much as a taboo as it is a mental illness, and I think that's a wonderful thing. Natasha David's book is an incredibly important book, one of the most important books of 2016, because it deals with an issue that afflicts many people in society, and she's written it with great honesty and courage, and she's done so in a way that tells a very compelling, true story. I've spoken to people tonight that have read the transcript of this in one sitting, so I'd really encourage you to buy the book tonight. There's a cash register at the back. There's a very limited number of books that are actually here. Dymocks are still waiting for the big shipments, and Natasha's had to make her own stock available. But the books are $20 and you can pay for them at the back, so there's not enough here for everybody, but I'd really encourage you to get the book.